Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to part 43 of the r/civ Battle Royale, presented by the benevolent god TPangolin. I'm your host Burgerkrieg, and today's installment was written by New Englander, Science Guy, fellow redditor and civ junkie Parsnip Pizza. Remember to check out all the awesome OC, stats and shitposts dedicated to this AI game over at r/civ Battle Royale. Let's dive feet first into the action. Today's title card image is made by that guy. But not before checking out this detailed map by confirmed cool people Cylon and Laxarax. Most notable is the growth of Korea in North Vietnam and the metaphorical, literal and geographical knife the Inuit are twisting into Texas. And man, is it some knife. Finally, F for Cylon, as this is his final map. For some visual representation of what civilizations are close to extinction, check out this map made by our very own Albinos Right Dinos. These, of course, are based off the power rankings by our panel of experts. Speaking of which, pushing the Burrs off their throne, the highest ranking civ is now the Inuit. It's close, but I'd certainly say they are unmatched in their sphere of influence. On to blood. And we return to one of the most decisive wars since Burrs against Congo. Texas has lost Houston and will spend most of this part flipping Gonzales, Austin and Dallas. Sam Houston hasn't lost as many people since the Alamo. That or the Mexican massacre of Austin all those years ago. Either way, rip Texas, you were a power. And then you got annihilated by the White Walkers. But the mysterious notifications on top take us to the Balkans, where Leonidas and his 300+ gym buddies retake Kumae. Envious of this display, Stalin declares the 12,482nd irrelevant war of the week. I don't like Sparta's chances versus Gustavus. They have low city defense and the tech jump by Sweden is too far a gap to ignore. We'll see how this plays out later. I have no idea what's happening here. I think Burma lost a capture to Nam or the Champa, but honestly this area has been a hot mess since the modern Oceanic War started. Note the capital of the Kimberley government in exile, guarded by some very nice destroyers. TPang also indicates the Part 1 champ the Mughals have ended a slightly relevant war versus the Champa. More relevant is Korea. As a devoted fan to the nation of science, I am pumped Seong took the advantage of the Trung's distraction with Burma and Australia. The extra cities are going to be a boon for the highest non-Uber power tech lead. Also note the appearance of the Korean Air Force in Seoul and Hue. Meanwhile, Lunatic 49's girlfriend Mao watches, surrounded by Mongolian bodyguards. The Flying Lions stationed at Tajia are certainly formidable. Several bombers and triplanes have been supporting Swedish GWI in their successful push against the oiled menace. Meanwhile, Burr paratroopers land deep in Swedish territory in order to visit the Central European tour de force. Slap dead Hitler. A close look at the Inuit interior, and man, that's like 10 industrial complexes from future worlds. There are a number of improvements available with this mod, including generators, communications arrays, nature reserves, and hydroponic domes, to name a few. A look at the unofficial Burr lands, informally known as Ethiopia, Carthage, and Egypt. Even then, the F buttons are getting primed as Hannibal starts grinding Saladin into the floor. Ethiopia is marching on Cairo, however, and they may keep it should they not go all AI on this war. Note the desperate party prophet in Italy, spreading the last of Islam. Farewell, party pope. Another look at the Swedish interior, with the mouse of God noting the visiting paratroopers. Some have made it to Berlin, former home of Germany, and have indeed slapped dead Hitler. This vacation is really a cover to start an amazing war against all the powers in the world, simultaneously. Anytime now. Come on, you can do it, Kruger. Think of all the OC propaganda. Welcome to reunited Australia, Bruces. Yellow and green now flies undisputed over the continent. If anyone still thinks they were a product of a weak region, even after this war, you may need to step outside for a minute. Or 2. Or 5. I know I would consider it after calculating the shark to turtle ratio in a hypothetical Korea versus Aussie round 3. Meanwhile, the Maori continue to not try to fight Australia. A Maori carrier at duty, an unseen division of the Academic Armada, and Inuit naval forces all occupy this image. Total nations, 9. Bolt Expo 441 is going pretty well. And now we know why Korea's momentum has slowed. Those planes are going to be bitches for non-AA forces. If Seong wants to keep going, he'll need to focus on Tianjin. Otherwise, the Trunks lack any non-naval melees to retake possible losses. Vegan is an exception, as those destroyers are going to flip that city into the Dvin zone. Inuit forces continue the onslaught in the Gulf of Mexico, beaten back only by the Lone Star Navy. Austin is down to half health, with a Mexican artillery piece cock-blocking some of the White Walkers. The Texan people are nearly broken, lacking any black elected executive leader to blame or army to even partially resist. At least they have their rangers. A look at the previously thought to be fake South America. Brazil and Chile are waging a brutal struggle in and around the Andes. Much of Brazil's spoils are takeable with one GWI, such as that one near La Plata. Meanwhile, the Buccaneers fortify Vitcos, once again isolating the Inca from the coast. And now, land pirates dressed as GIs. Morgan has done an outstanding job for an AI, now in control of Florida, the Caribbean and much of North-South America. Here, Vilcabamba and São Luís have become pirate territory, with Manaus about to join them. Meanwhile, an Irish scout, hearing news of his country's destruction, begins sailing home to fight Iceland. Sri Lanka and Arabia duel over Batikaloa. Observers include the underrated Afghanistan, orphaned Hun workers, and the decomposing empire of Darius. Forget each other, why don't Sri Lanka and Arabia go tear through Persia? I mean knights, pikemen, even Mao has those. Regardless, a Middle Eastern quagmire could see an invading force in the form of Sri Lanka if they play their cards right. Portugal is looking mighty strong. Kudos to the Bucks for creating the first stronghold in another continent. The area is strongly lacking in any land units, however. Either way, that navy is a huge threat to pretty much anyone else in the region, as are the fumes from all that rum drinking. Morocco could surrender in a week before any ships show up. Now visible are the Inuits' gains in the war with Canada, aka Charlottetown and St. John. As one can see, Canada is lucky in having been spared the destruction now raining on Texas. Currently, the Canadians are fighting Crowfoot and his Blackfoot. Hopefully, they'll run into a couple of Bruins while they're there. The superior Inuit forces look on with giggles. As another shot of South American cities in the red, I'll throw this out. Which leader is most likely to fight along with their men? I'm thinking Henry Morgan would be totally comfortable raising the Incan coastline with his fellow pirates. The Trunks, Genghis Khan, Leonidas and Kuchum Khan all come to mind as well. Dead last, Maria, who's 4F for mental conditions. The north of South America, where Manaus, as expected, is being fortified by the rum runners. Really nothing new here. Brazil definitely has one of the largest worker populations, rivaling the Boers. More flipping as Gonzales flips back to the Texas Rangers. Unfortunately, the Inuit are shipping their version of David Freeze to the front lines, as information-era units start overwhelming Austin. Dallas stays in White Walker lands. It's not happening, Texas. Just accept your doom. On another front, the Inuit show off another toy, modern armor, making them Civ number 2 to accomplish this. As a Korea fan, the Yakutian Navy is concerning but not unbeatable. Meanwhile, an Irish privateer resolves to join the scout in Erin, as soon as it gets by the scary ice people and yak herders. But we are soon motivated to move to Africa, as Ethiopia decides to finish off the party pope Saladin, along with a relevant battle buddy Canada. Cairo immediately flips to Christmas colors and Baalbek is next. We may have a kill today, so activate your Fs. Haile Selassie also has a chance to make major gains against Hannibal. This is the Ethiopia that could have snuffed out the Boers BSP before superpower. What could have been, huh? Back to North Vietnam, or rather West Korea. Tianjin is finally getting touched but probably won't fall any day soon. My advice to dear Professor Seong, grab vegan and pull out. The momentum is kaput, and though the Trunks lack any means to capture cities, their production could risk the loss of all new gains, though Busan is probably safe. That or start nuking. We're also informed of another totally hypothetically possible but unrealistic war, aka the Inuit versus Sweden. Please don't hurt me, Kruger, I'm just a humble narrator. Go after Mali, they called you a nerd. The carpet has definitely happened for the Boers, only the Inuit could really beat them in a war, and even then not for long. Who's next to grovel at Kruger's boots? West Burgerkrieg gets its first appearance today, with lands locally known as Mali and Morocco. Both are vulnerable, both are weak, and border a major power. Someone please euthanize them. Greater Finland appears along with its pet civ, the Soviet Union. Burgerkrieg too has carpeted to an extent. They could beat anyone they border, minus Sibir. But instead, he'll keep sending hilarious paratroopers to the Middle East. We must spread autocracy to the rest of the world. Either way, top 5 those Finns. To Burma, where Mandalay valiantly flips to Nam once more. The Trunks take 50 years to bring melee units to the front lines. Rinse and repeat. I'm going to watch some episodes of Band of Brothers to get re-excited for the WW2 era war. The Middle East returns and so do I. Man, that show is epic. Anyway, Afghanistan joins the sub-club, while Sri Lanka and Arabia continue to skirmish. The Han workers get to be entertained while still on a boat in the middle of the Persian Gulf. We can't all live in comfy nuclear submarines. As foreshadowed, Austin falls with all 3 Gulf cities in Inuit hands for however briefly. Albany starts getting threatened, as does New York. One of the musical Sherman brothers joins the pirate life. He's inspired to write a song about his life for a novelty park in Florida. It will be called Henry Morgan World. The most popular attraction will be Watch Millions of Texans Die and Plunder International Trade. Everyone is super drunk all the time. Sounds like a blast. Austin flips back, World Congress results come out, and Bernardo and Pedro peace the fuck out. Both will continue to fight the drunk tourists from Morgan World that are plundering their cities. God, Pedro, that was the one city you had to keep, but you blew it. 5 out of 7, they tried. The pirates continue to attack. Pedro also makes peace with the way clearer threat, Sparta. The Boers are now embargoed, voted unanimously by everyone. Maybe this will get them on the warpath. Also, be ready to press F for the Ayubids. Ethiopia is in range to capture Zabid. RIP. Korea celebrates the passing of science funding by capturing Vegan and continues to keep hitting Tianjin. They won't hold Vegan, but Sejong is certainly setting himself as a top 10 minor power. Hail science. Ishtar infers a Maori-Inuit fight. We also get a nice shot of New Zealand. People are begging for a war with Australia, but I don't think it's happening yet. Maybe in the information era we'll have our war. The reformed Wobbegong looks much tougher than whatever Tay is fielding. The Gulf flips back to the White Walkers as the Texan Navy desperately tries to scramble some semblance of a defense that doesn't require massive amounts of civilian casualties. A helicopter from the deep recesses of the north prepares to fight a corsair commandeered by the Texans from the pirates themselves. A phrase that is so cool only a set of sea monsters, dramatic music, and liberal use of pyrotechnics could make it more awesome. Icelandic and Canadian sailors kick back and watch the action. Mission accomplished. Using crack paratroopers, Urho has brought the seed of autocracy to the Middle East yet again. Burgerkrieg is on a roll. All he needs now is to win an election by questionable Supreme Court decision and let the economy slowly collapse until it's some other guy's problem. Another shot of the sweet Spartan war with even more peacekeeping Boer units filtering in. So far, no real change has happened, and the Boers are blocking the major action. Even in peace, Kruger stops others from expanding. Baalbek falls, Cairo is fortified, and the Ayubids remain on F-Watch. At least the great musician can write a sorrowful piece on the death of Islam. Poor party people. Now to Pedro's party people, involved in a one-front war and with some brand new AA guns. Meanwhile, the pirates continue to bear down on the Brazilian core. welcome to the jungle. Canada takes Itatipco from the Blackfoot and burns it. Honestly, the Blackfoot are with Morocco and Mali. Not bottom 5 awful, but definitely not as aggressive as their peers. Crowfoot just wants to have fun. Get him, McCunick. The Inuit core, where a plot is made to prove who the real blue snowsiff is. The amount of plants is staggering. No wonder the walkers are pumping out so many units. Their production must be through the roof. Iceland plots against Norway. That war would be over faster than an American's total attention towards soccer. Sorry, I'm running low on quality jokes. Not yet at Mencia levels, but we're approaching it. A list of possible and previous plots, Inuit construction of the Pentagon is the most plausible in these admittedly useless plotting notifications. Fight me, M, but you and your colleagues suck at your job. Ishtar will go to Finland, Semiramis to Siberia, and the lovely M to Ethiopia. That sounded like an NBA trade deadline post, without tons of Sixers fans obsessing over draft picks like John Hinckley with Jodie Foster. Wow, that came out fast and confusing and loaded with similes. Come on, Parsnip, get your energy back and stop doing basketball jokes or baseball. I don't know what. I'm not American, okay? More flipping. The all-important Austin still with the Inuit. A Canadian scout attends the battle for free beer after 1.5 million casualties. Still no F for Saladin as Ethiopia continues to beat Carthage back. Mampong is under great threat and the Boers giggle at all the cute riflemen and GWIs. They think that's an army? Sri Lanka makes peace with Harun al-Rashid, the top keks fortify Batticaloa as Arabia looks to invade. Norway can into modern era and Austin flips back. They too are waiting for a merciful power to finish them off. Gustavus might after he finishes with the Leg Day Legion. Lightning round here, shot of Yakutia slumbering with destroyers. Still 9 out of 10 scary, just not next to the Inuit. As shown by our spy network earlier, the same Eskimos built the Pentagon. First wonder in a while, I'd say. No surprise here, although this does bode extremely well for the snowball-like nature of the Inuit army in the nightmare scenario that, unlike Australia, each war just makes them stronger. Batticaloa loses its cherished liberators and is taken by Arabia, a post-war victory for Harun. Machu looks ready to capitulate to the pirates, and the Inca are limited to the capital and a cock-blocked coastal city. Should Machu fall, I expect a land invasion of Cusco very soon. On the other hand, Morgan loses São Luís, Manaus and Belo Horizonte. Brazil looks ready to come back. Austin is barely Texan, Gonzales and Dallas not so much. Texas is running out of time and melee ships. It's gonna be a little chilly in Cancun this year. The Mughals make peace with powers that probably haven't visited their lands. Oh well, this allows them some more time to play around with their fancy new submarine. Burma lose Lam Ap Pho and Mandalay. Go get 'em, Trunks, have some fun storming the temples. But enough of that, let's head to the next slide. Oh boy, the hype train has reached the station. The Aussies and the Maori throw down the gauntlet in the Second Oceanic War. I predicted a decisive victory for Bruceland, not without severe casualties of course. The battle rages in the Maori colonies, with the Wobbegong gaining a significant upper hand. Also, Norway joins the Lincoln Club and adopts freedom. RIP Norwegian happiness. More fighting, with the Maori fielding submarines amidst BoatCon 447. 5 nations send reps. Yokohama is under siege by Maori carriers. Both sides look ready to flip it to one pop by the next part. I feel bad for the next installment's narrator, who has to narrate all those flips. F for the Ayubids, ending them on turn 448. They made early headway and founded a small but popular religion based on partying. And they were ranking at 12 once, being a major medieval power in Africa. Then, the Boers happened, and the tech gap widened, leading us to their demise. RIP, as Ethiopia finishes Saladin off. Back to the Anzac Civil War as several Maori island outposts come under immediate threat. My money's on Australia landing most of these cities with a reforged Wobbegong armada. Itsipko flips back to the Blackfoot and the Royal Air Force is partially displayed. The Inuit and even the Canadians can't stop laughing at Crowfoot's tech level. Meanwhile, Leicester pieces out with Hannibal. Limping to the finish line here due to time restraints, Ethiopia fortifies Iubid/Carthage gains, the Boers are still scary, and the international games are coming up. Just bet on the Spartans, they sweat Adderall. One powerful Khan plots against another, the Paper Khan. Let's hope stupid Semiramis is right for once. Also, Boer peacekeeping units move to Snorkutia. Urho plans to put down his pet regime and could do so relatively quickly. Stalin hides his fears of this with vodka, work camps, and for a change, vodka. The Boers grind Sweden-Sparta to a halt through the magic of open borders. Finally, M offers up an Ethiopian advance on Armenia. Hi Tiridates, yes, I know you exist. To the demographics. Pop. No surprise here, superpower's gonna superpower. Expect Maori to drop. I use this slide to plead with lunatic 49 Mao's indoctrination of him. I doubt it'll work, just like all the sixths of China's population. As usual, Boers, the Inuit, 2 miles, then Korea, Sibir, Vietnam, and then the field. Science. It's hard to base success off number of wonders. I mean, look at Afghanistan with 4. Australia tops the list because of their recent Desert Crusade. See, look at all the powers with only 1. You could build 3 great firewalls versus 1 Petra. Wonders are great for helping you start out, especially if you're in a bad place. But if you're not geographically screwed over, then all's not too lost. The Champa are loaded. With almost twice as much as the Inuit, it helps not having an army to pay for. I wonder if the Boers will start losing money now that they have been embargoed. Religion! Speaking of which, Judaism continues to guide Western Europe. Now, however, Catholicism has taken the lead, with a grip on both Americas. Islam may be 98% dead, but at least all 14 followers are still faithful. Now, the map of all major religions. Thanks so much to TPang for this opportunity to contribute, and to all of you guys consistently for being awesome. I'll be around screaming science whenever Korea nukes someone. Oh, and check out r/CBR Model World Congress and get signed up. May democracy prevail. For TPangolin, Parsnip Pizza, and the Battle Royale, I'm Burgerkrieg. Go Red Sox is what it says here, though I don't really know what the fuck that means.